Opportunities don't happen, you create them. Chris said, a very warm morning wishes and a hearty welcome to all. Respected Ms. Pamela Ghosh, distinguished guest speaker, Lieutenant Colonel P.S. Chandrasekhar, the very delighted parents, beloved students, and teachers. It is a pleasure to invite you all on behalf of Edify School for the career guidance session Armed Forces. Before we begin, I request everyone to adhere by a few housekeeping rules for the smooth functioning of the event. Please make sure your mic is on mute during the meeting to facilitate a noise-free environment. Please make the chat box for questions. The chat box is on the top right corner of your screen. Please do not click on present button. This icon is located bottom right corner of the screen. Please turn off the camera or video to avoid any network issues. When you have to speak, please unmute and one person will speak at a time. While speaking, turn on your camera. Here we have a few guidelines for a safe environment during the COVID-19 pandemic. Remember to wash your hands and use sanitizer frequently. Cover your mouth with a tissue or your elbow when you cough or sneeze. Also, discard the tissue safely after use. Remember to maintain at least 6 feet away from coming into contact with people in public. Avoid going out unless you have an important reason. Do wear a mask while stepping out as of required. Stay home and stay safe. I now call upon Sonali ma'am for the welcome note.
Distinguished and respected Principal Ma'am, beloved parents, students, teachers, it gives me immense joy and exaltation to invite you all on this platform today. I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all present here for the career guidance session invested by our Honorable Principal Ma'am exclusively for students in order to ensure that they are encouraged and supported for decision making through the different pathways of careers to choose from. Many of today's generation are no longer motivated by extrinsic reward alone. Consequently, educators must harness a higher level of needs in order to work constructively with today's youth. There must be more maximizing of human potential, which is possible through career guidance and development. Today, we have with us Lieutenant Colonel P.S. Chandrasekhar sir with us to interact with our young edifiers about the career opportunities in armed forces. A warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you for joining us today. I am delighted to thank the presence of Ms. Pamela Ghosh, the principal of Edify School. Ma'am, I am honored to be thanking you for the amount of patience, expertise, and perseverance that goes into planning and creating platforms such as these for our students to explore from. Let's now begin the session with hopes and dreams that no matter how limited we might be, we will do our best to achieve what we call dreams. Children, also remember, nobody but you are your only competition, and none but you alone can strive for its achievement. Today we are happy to have had Lieutenant Colonel Chandrasekhar sir with us. Lieutenant Colonel P.S. Chandrasekhar is an alumnus of the prestigious National Defense Academy and the Indian Military Academy, and he was commissioned into the Corps of Signals in December 1996. Starting with his first posting in Ladakh, where he served both in Kargil and Siachen Glacier, he has participated in Operation Vijay, Kargil War, Operation Parakram, Indian Army deployment after the Parliament attack, and in counter-insurgency terrorist operations areas in Jammu and Kashmir. He was also rewarded the Northern Army Commander's Commendation Card for distinguished service in 1999. For service also in Siachen Glacier. He has had 2 decades of experience across diverse military assignments in leadership and training related roles, after which he voluntarily retired from service in May 2017. He is an IT and telecom professional with experience and planning and operations nationwide, IT and communication networks, project management, and electronic warfare. He has been involved in training of service personnel throughout his service with tenure as a senior instructor of a technical training facility at the Signal Training Center, Goa. He is also an instructor of hot air ballooning, powered hang gliding, microlights, and mountaineering, qualifications which he attained during his army service. He is a life and soft skills coach and has deeply involved himself in the education and skill development fields. Thank you for your time with our students today, sir. I request you to take over the session.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind words. It's indeed a privilege and honor to be part of this August gathering of teachers, students, and parents. I take the opportunity once again to thank you for giving me this forum. Most people want to know what is it like a career in the armed forces. Though everybody is fascinated by it, many do not know what it entails. Yes, it is difficult, but not so difficult also. It has got its different facets are there to the army service. I would just start by giving you a brief background. Just a minute. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Is the presentation visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible. Now it has gone. It was visible. Now it is gone.
Just a minute. The armed forces actually comprises of the land forces, that is the Indian Army, the Indian Air Force, and the Indian Navy. Rest, the Coast Guards, comes under the Ministry of Home. There are other central armed forces which are there, which are not in fact the part of the defense forces. They come under the Central Armed Paramilitary Forces. Sharing the presentation. There are different reasons for joining the armed forces. The most important among them is the growth potential. The armed forces is seen as a noble profession by all. Physical fitness is paramount importance. Everybody who joins it has got job security. The salaries and perks are another factor. There is a quantum of respect and status attached to the serving in the armed forces. The quality of life is beyond anything which you can have in any other field. And then there are the retirement benefits. Like I told, the armed forces comprises of the Indian Army, the Indian Air Force, and the Navy. All these three together form the defense forces. The rest of the armed forces which are there come under the 7 Central Armed Police Forces or the Indian Paramilitary Forces. They comprise of the Assam Rifles, the Border Security Force, the Central Industrial Security Forces, whom you see at the airports, the CRPF, Central Reserve Police Force, the ITBP or the Indo-Tibetan Border Police, the NSG or the National Security Guards, who are responsible for counter-terrorist operations, anti-hijacking operations, and the protection of the VIPs, and finally the Sashastra Seema Bal. To give you a brief about the armed forces, on the screen you can see the ranks which are prevalent in the armed forces, starting from the lieutenant, captain, major, and equivalent ranks in the Air Force and the Navy. Everybody who joined the armed forces can go up to the rank of the general and field marshal. Field marshal rank is a lifelong rank. There is no retirement age. We have had 2 field marshals, namely Field Marshal Karyappa and Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw. We also had a Marshal of the Air Force, Field Marshal Arjun Singh, who were honored with this rank for their services during the war times and other times to the nation. Career options. I will be showing you links to how to register and find out more about later in the presentation. Presently, there are different entries, ways of joining the armed forces, and what is the selection procedure. I'll talk a little bit on that. The entries to the armed forces. First is the army or the land forces. The entries for men starts immediately after the 12th or the PUC. The two main for the army, 2 main means of entering is through the National Defense Academy, of which I am an alumni. You join immediately after finishing your 12th, between the ages of 16 and half to 19. The qualification is you should have just passed the 12th or the PUC. For the army, you can be a commerce or an arts student, but for the Air Force and the Navy, you should have physics and mathematics in your 11th and 12th. The 10+2 TS system is a method in which you appear for the JEE main. You should have 70% aggregate mark in physics, chemistry, and maths in 11th and 12th. And you can apply for it. You get directly called for a SSB interview or the Service Selection Board interview. For the NDA, you have to appear for a UPSC entrance exam. The other entries for the men after graduation is the Indian Military Academy. Any graduate, irrespective of the marks, can join. They appear for a UPSC exam. Most of the entrants have got a written exam, like the SSC or the Short Service Commission non-technical and the IMA. Here you have to appear for a written exam. You get selected in merit for the written exam. You get called for the Service Selection Board interview. All of the entrance tests and the selection process for joining the armed forces are twice in a year. The advertisement comes on the roughly in the months which you can see in the view file. The other way of entering after graduation is through the NCC special entry. In this, you have to have had a C certificate with minimum brow grading in the NCC senior division. Then you apply through your NCC battalion and you get directly called for the SSB. The university entry scheme is for technical engineering graduates who are in the 5th semester or the 6th semester of their engineering. They join only once they complete, but they can apply for it from the 5th semester onwards. The group of army people come to the universities and they conduct a talk wherein the forms are given out. The students can fill it and they get directly called for the SSB based on their performance in the 5th and the 6th semesters. The technical graduate course, here again, the students, while in the 7th and 8th semesters, can apply for it. After completion of the 6th semester, they just go to the Join the Indian Army site and fill up the form, post their, upload their marks for the 6th semester up till the 6th semester, and based on the marks, merit list, they get called directly for the SSB. There is another technical graduate course for the Education Corps or the Army Education Corps. Here, the test is the qualification is MA or MSc in notified subjects, which are notified from time to time. Finally, is the Short Service Commission technical entry. Here, students who have done graduates in BE or BTech can join. Again, you just fill up the form. There is no written exam, and fine, directly the candidates are called for the SSB. I'll briefly touch upon what the SSB is later. Entries into the Army, other entries into the Army. Candidates who have joined the armed forces as soldiers between 18 to 24 years of age can appear while serving in the Army as soldiers through the Army Cadet College, where they have an internal written exam. Once they clear it, they are nominated for the Service Selection Board interview. And finally, those who don't get to join the armed forces through the various entries, what I told you about, can join the Territorial Army between the 18 to 42 years of age, appearing for a central UPSC written test, followed by a personal interview board, and finally the SSB. The famous cricketer Mahendra Singh Dhoni is also a major in the Territorial Army. There are entries for the women also in the armed forces. The available options in the Army is technical graduate course for the BE and BTech students. The age limit for it starts from 20 and to 27 years of age, the women can join it. There is another entry which is the Short Service Commission non-technical. Women can join in non-technical streams, including JAG stream, which is for lawyers. Minimum requirement is graduation in any field till 25 years of age, and for postgraduates, it starts at 21 to 27 years of age. The Short Service Commission Tech women is from 20 to 27 years old of age, and BTech or engineering degree in notified field is the qualification. Here there is no written test except for the Short Service Commission non-tech, that is the CDS. Here the UPSC written exam is mandatory. The means to join the Navy, again, Navy can be joined for men through immediately after the 12th through the NDA, or the cadet entry Naval Academy for executive stream, which is at AU Malai, Kerala. The qualification is 10+2 physics and maths plus UPSC exam. Here, before I go further, I would like to make it clear, an officer who wishes to join the Navy in the executive branch are the ones who command the ships. For them, BTech, if they join after 12, they are made to do BTech while during the training. So, physics and maths is compulsory. Also for the Air Force, physics and maths in 11th and 12th is compulsory if you wish to become a pilot. There's a combined test for NDA and Naval Academy. It is one single test, UPSC exam. Once you clear it, you get called for the SSB based on the merit. Finally, there is a direct technical entry 10+2 stream for engineering and electrical branch, which is a permanent commission for men. For this 10+2 with PCM, physics, chemistry, maths is compulsory, and 70% aggregate marks are required by the students in these 3 subjects in the 12th. Here there is no written test. The candidates get called directly for the SSB interview. Entries in the Navy for men. You can see on the view foil, this is for the graduates for permanent commission. The Combined Defense Services exam is there, which is a UPSC exam. BSc Physics and Maths or B Tech or BE is the qualification required. There is the NCC special entry. Here again, Navy being Navy, you can only join if you have got BSc, Physics and Maths, or BE or B Tech. While having an NCC, Naval Wing Senior C certificate with brow grading. Direct entry into the Naval Armament Inspection cadre, BE B Tech in mechanical engineering or electronics, electrical, or postgraduate degree in electronics or physics is required. There is a direct entry into the law cadre where a law graduation LLB with minimum of 55% marks is required. Finally, there is again the university entry scheme even for the naval cadets. Here 60% marks up to 6 semesters are required for the BTech students to join the Navy as officers. Further, you can see on the view foil the various fields which you can join in the Navy. The graduation level and the subjects required are different for each. The marks are 55% minimum, except for the aviation observer and the aviation pilot streams. The maximum age, except for the pilots, is up to 25 years of age. For pilots, the maximum age is 23. Entries in the Navy for both men and women, which is common, is for the law cadre, the logistics cadre, and the aviation cadre. One women pilot has now been allowed on the aircraft carrier as a fighter pilot. So it's a new opening. Also, the good news is the Parliament has approved permanent commission for women in the armed forces. By the time you become eligible to join in the next year or so, permanent commission will be allowed, an option to choose for from the very starting when you apply to join the armed forces. Next is the Air Force. Air Force again you can join through the NDA with 10+2 with physics and maths. Like I said, all pilots require physics and maths compulsorily in 11th and 12th. And the Combined Defense Services exam, here a graduate in any discipline can join, but if you wish to become a pilot, you require physics and maths in 10+2, or you should have a BE degree or a BSc with physics and maths. Entries in the Air Force for all, including men and women. This is after graduation. Firstly, the flying branch. Here, graduation in any discipline with physics and maths in 10+2 or BE BTech with any at least 60% marks aggregate. The technical graduate, 4-year graduation course in notified technical stream, that is BE BTech or MSc ME. There are certain computer streams also. Ground duty and administration, logistics, accounts branches. Here, the graduation is in certain notified fields which you can find in the Join the Indian Air Force Careers in Air Force site, which is there available on Google. I'll give you the links at the end of the presentation. SSC Short Service Commission, this is only for women, for pilots, those who are commercial pilot license holders. Here the graduation can be in any discipline, but physics and maths should have been there in 10+2. Armed Forces. Joining the Armed Forces Medical College, Pune, becoming doctors in the Armed Forces. This immediately after the 12th. You should have physics, chemistry, biology, 11th and 12th. Based on an All India exam, which is held once a year. Based on merit in the exam, you're called for a interview. Once you clear the interview, based on overall merit, you're called to join the AFMC or the Armed Forces Medical College, which is a 4-year course, and then you get commissioned as a captain in the Army Medical Corps. Finally, there's a military nursing service. This is exclusively for girls, and it can be joined immediately after the 12th. Physics, chemistry, biology is the subjects required compulsorily in 11th and 12th. The applications are available on Join Indian Army site. There is a test, written test, followed by interview, and those who clear on merit are to undergo medicals, like for all entries. The training period is of 4 years, wherein you get a BSc in nursing, and further you got an opportunity to do MSc in nursing free of cost while in service. There is a short service commission stream also. If you have done your BSc or MSc nursing from the civil cadre, you can join as a short service commission nursing officer. The starting rank is lieutenant, and the girls can rise up to the rank of the major general in the nursing service. All privileges applicable for a commissioned officer are applicable to officers of the military nursing service, and the full pension is applicable at retirement. The total available seats are shown on the view foil. The main college is at Delhi, but once the initial selection has been done, the candidates are distributed among the various colleges shown on the view foil for further training. These are the locations where the command hospitals are located. The Armed Forces command hospitals are located. The schedule of the exam for the various written tests are shown on the view foil. Like I said, there are 2 exams per stream available to you. Another point to note is that when you appear for NDA, it is not like the other competitive exams. You do not apply for it once you finish your 12th. You have to start applying for it as soon as you finish your 11th, if you wish to join immediately on completing your 12th. Like I joined the NDA in June 1992 when I completed my 12th in 1992 May, for which I applied for the UPSC exam on completion of my 11th in June 1991. I appeared for my written test in September 91. I got my result in January 92, and I attended my SSB in April 92, which I cleared and joined end of June 92. The NDA and the Naval Academy exam pattern, there are 2 papers of 2.5 hours each. There's a mathematics paper of 300 marks and a general ability test paper of 600 marks, total 900 marks. The tests are all objective MCQs. Here, you have to be very competitive. The time, there are 0.25 marks which are deducted for each wrong answer and 1 mark for each correct answer. The general ability paper comprises of the English and the general knowledge part. The general knowledge part also includes your science, current affairs, and aptitude test. NDA Naval Academy written tests are difficult because The questions which come in the paper are of the 11th standard 11, as you can see the syllabus for the mathematics paper on the view foil. The syllabus for the general ability test is shown on the screen. The general knowledge part, English is there, and the general knowledge includes subjects like history, politics, economics, geography, physics, biology, chemistry, and current affairs. To appear for the UPSC written exam, you have to be very well prepared. The competition is very large. It's a very tough fight. More number of candidates appear for the UPSC exam for the NDA and Naval Academy than they appear for the IAS exam. When I appeared in 1992, some 1.8 lakh students appeared for the written exam for a vacancy of 350 seats. Nowadays, up to 8 to 9 lakh students appear for the same, of which about 4,000 to 5,000 finally get called for the SSB, of which about 350 join the National Defense Academy and another 50 join the Naval Academy. The competition is tough and the quantum of competition is increasing. So if you are interested in joining, you should start preparing from now itself. If you concentrate on your studies in your 11th and 12th properly, you won't have any problem. This, I don't think I have to stress more. The syllabus is CBSE based. If you want to crack the exam, because it is totally merit based, there are no reservations. If you do well in the UPSC exam, because your 11th and 12th marks they do not matter at all. If you have just passed your 11th and 12th, it's more than enough. But you require to clear the UPSC exam and do well in your SSB interview to finally get selected in the last few who get to join the prestigious National Defense Academy and the Naval Academy. Practice makes you perfect, and everyone is trainable. You may be weak, but if you start practicing now, by the time you appear for the written test, you will become very competent at appearing for the test. It does not mean that you neglect your studies. Both the things go hand in hand. What are the qualities the armed forces looks for in candidates who join it? There are 4 main subgroups, which we call the qualities of the body, the qualities of the head, the qualities of the heart, and the qualities of the limb. I was a GTO or a group task officer who is one of the assessors involved in the service selection board process. There's a psychologist over there who checks for the qualities of the heart, head, and heart. There's a group task officer who checks for all the qualities, and finally an interviewing officer who again checks you for the same qualities. If you start practicing the qualities reflected on the screen from day 1 to day, by the time you appear for your SSB, you will pretty well get through. These are total 14 OLQ qualities which I have shown on the screen. Initiative. Initiative is doing something without supervision because it has got to be done. It is your duty and your responsibility to do it, and you have the self-confidence to do it. The qualities of the body are also the qualities of a good leader. In conjunction with the effectiveness of the decision taken, the intelligence with which it is taken, involving proper reasoning, wherein a good organization of the resources available is made, and crisp orders delivered to the soldiers. courage does not only involve the mind, it also involves the body and the heart. When you physically convey your courage through your action, it becomes a quality of your limbs. The qualities of the heart. A leader is socially adaptable. He gets along well with everybody. He's able to influence people under him and make them, motivate them, encourage them to perform beyond the requirements or beyond what is physically possible. Also, a leader is cooperative with everybody and gets the same cooperation from his subordinates. Finally, armed forces personnel does everything out of a sense of responsibility rather than because they are ordered to do so. What is the SSB looking for? They are looking for the 15 OLQ qualities, which in 4 points I can say are your awareness of your surroundings and yourself, your behavior when you're being observed and you're not observed, your communication skills with other people, and finally, your dynamism. How quick you take an action, how well you do a task without the need being there to do it. The Service Selection Board interview, which I was telling you, is conducted by the Service Selection Board of India, the Army, Navy, and Air Force. The candidates are selected who clear the written test or are found fit to appear for the SSB, are called for the SSB interview. They are conducted over 5 days to test the officer-like qualities in the candidates. It is a 4-stage process. First is the first day, screening test is conducted. Second is the psychological test, if you clear the screening test. The third stage is the group task test, and finally, the interview by the interviewing officer. The day-wise schedule in the SSB, the first stage or the screening test, the day you report itself, the OIR or the reasoning, verbal and non-verbal reasoning test is conducted, followed by the picture perception and description test. If you clear this, then only you are retained for the next 2 stages. Otherwise, the same day in the evening, you are returned back home because you are not cleared the first day. The second stage involved the psychological test, the GTO tasks, and the interview of the candidates. And finally, on the 5th day, the conference is there where the declaration of the results takes place. If you clear all the 5 days, then finally you're retained at the SSB center for your medical test. In Bangalore, the SSB center is there on the Kavan Road. You will see there are different tests which are shown. I won't tell you about them presently because you won't understand them at a stage anybody wants to know. I will conduct another session where those desirous can learn about what they are. Those who want to join the paramilitary forces, for them, any graduate between the age of 20 to 25 can apply for posts of sub-inspectors in the BSF, CISF, CRPF, ITBP and Sashastra Sena Bal through a central UPSC exam which is conducted. There is also recruitment as constables after completion of class 10th and 12th between the age of 18 to 23. Women can also join and are eligible for recruitment to Central Industrial Security Force and the Central Reserve Police Force. The important sites from where you can get the adequate information regarding the test, the dates, and how to apply. The main site is the UPSC site, Naukri career site. Army to join Indian Army site. For the Navy, join Indian Navy site, and Career Air Force for the Air Force. I will leave a copy of the presentation with the school so that desirous children can, through the teachers, note down the important information as required. I have completed the presentation, and I will now take on the questions, if any. You may post your questions on the chat link. I will answer the pertinent questions which come up commonly for everyone. First question is, how long does it take to be a soldier? If you play normal sports and games and you clear the adequate tests, you get selected. If you're just becoming a soldier, it's a 1 year or 10-month training with a 1 month gap of leave in between. Otherwise, if you join to become an officer, the minimum training is for 10 months for a short service commission officer, 1.5 years for a direct entry after graduation through the Indian Military Academy or the Naval Academy or the Air Force Academy, and for those after 12th who join either through the Technical Entry Scheme 10+2 or the NDA and Naval Academy, the training is of total 4 years, wherein 3 years of BSc, BTech, BA or BCom education, graduation also goes hand in hand. Minimum criteria to become an officer is graduation. What is the minimum requirement? Medical requirement. If you want to join the Air Force or the Air Force as a pilot, you have to have full eyesight. You cannot become pilot if you wear specs. Presently, even LASIK surgery is not allowed. There are what the problem, you have to medically fit. The criteria for the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy are different. The criteria for the Air Force being most stringent. If you Google the medical requirements for NDA or for CDS entry or Air Force, you will get information on various sites, either the links which I told you or in the advertisements which come up from time to time to join the NDA or the CDS or the Air Force. The benefits of joining the armed forces, benefits are many. When you join the armed forces, firstly, the entire training, accommodation, boarding, lodging is free of cost. You get the clothing, you get very high quality food for your sustenance, and you get the training which you require, which makes you a fit soldier physically, mentally, and psychologically. Further, you get to do courses, various training courses and military courses, which improves your knowledge and your competence. Like I did my BSc from NDA, then while in training, I did a 3-year BTech course from the Military College of Engineering, Pune for 1 year, and 2 years in Military College of Telecommunication Engineering, where I got a BTech in IT and Telecom. Those who are interested, they can apply for and attend MTechs in the IITs. Many of my course mates hold MTechs from IITs. They have done a full 2-year course while in service paid by the armed forces. There are also opportunities to go and attend certain prestigious courses in the foreign countries sponsored by the Indian Armed Forces, as well as you can at a later stage in your career take a 2-year study break where you enroll in a civil college and attend the course for a 2-year period like a normal student. Further, you get the opportunity to participate in many adventure activities, games and sports fully funded by the armed forces if you're good in it. Like you would have seen my profile. I am an instructor for hot air ballooning. I have also done paragliding, microlight, mountaineering while in the armed forces. If you're good in a sport, you can represent the country like Colonel Rajwardhan Singh Rathod, who represented country in the Olympics and the Asian Games for shooting. I have been asked, sir, people having myopia problems can join the defense. Yes, people who have eyesight problem, myopia or hypermetropia, they can join, given that the power is within a specified limit. You can Google it. It is basically, I think, plus minus 2.5 is the maximum criteria. That is for the army. For the Navy and the Air Force, people who are in the logistics and the accounts or the personal branch, they can join if they have got certain eye problems. But pilots and executive branch naval people, they cannot join. What was my most challenging assignment? All assignments in their own respect are challenging. Yes, my first posting was there at the Siachen Glacier in Kargil. That was very thrilling and challenging. But at the same time, I would say my tenure in the Electronic Warfare Battalion or IW Battalion, 11 IW Battalion in Srinagar, where I was responsible for electronic warfare, doing along with the counter-terrorist forces, which helped in eliminating and catching many terrorists, was one of the most enjoyable and challenging assignments. Is it possible to join the Air Force after undergoing laser treatment? No, presently Air Force, as a pilot, you cannot join if you have had laser treatment. And because I can't see any more questions on the viewfoil, the army does take people who have had plastic surgery, but you should have had minimum 3 months from the time of the surgery to the time when you appear for your medicals for the service selection board interview. For the girls, permanent commission is in now. By next year, it will be implemented, and anybody who is joining can opt for the permanent commission or short service commission as they deem fit at the time of joining. Which is the best branch to join? There is no best or worst branch in the armed forces. It is as per your liking, your aptitude, what you want to do. In the armed forces, in the army, we are divided into 3 parts. That is the arms and services. The arms is further divided into the fighting arms, which comprises of the infantry or the land soldiers, foot soldiers, the armored or the mechanized infantry, where the tanks are there, and mechanized infantry, armed personal vehicles are there, plus the artillery, or where you have the guns like Bofors. They are also known as the supporting arms, along with the engineers, corps of engineers, who take care of the minefields, making obstacles, constructing obstacles, destroying obstacles, demolitions, and constructing field defenses, including bunkers and bridges. Finally, I am from the Corps of Signals, which is again a supporting arm, where we provide communications to the entire armed forces, including radio, satellite, line communication, optical fiber, and also we take care of the electronic warfare, wherein we intercept, direction find, jam enemy communication, as well as the communications of the terrorists who operate in Jammu and Kashmir and in the northeast. Height is not that much of a barrier for the ladies. Height as less as 5 feet is allowed. For the men, depending on the area a person belongs to, because the hilly areas and the tribal area, there is a height benefit which is given. People as short as 5 feet 2 are allowed, whereas mostly above 160 centimeter of height, people are required to join the armed forces as officers. How do we join the Defense Intelligence Agency? Actually there is nothing known as the Defense Intelligence Agency. Within the army, we have got an intelligence code. So once you join the give your CDS exam or join the NDA, before the time of the commissioning, you can opt to join the intelligence corps and directly get commissioned into the intelligence corps from the IMA, and similarly for the Air Force and the Navy. Which branch of military is most involved? All branches of military are involved in combat, because without logistics and supplies, services like repair and recovery of vehicles, equipment, and armaments, nothing is possible. But if you are asking who are in the front, everybody is in the front line. Infantry are the ones, or the foot soldiers, land army, who are most involved, because they are the first line of defense. They hold the defenses, which you see, the trenches, the bunkers. They fight hand-to-hand combat. They attack the enemy posts along with the armored and the mechanized infantry. Which branch deals with nuclear weapons? The engineers along with the DRDO deals with the nuclear weapons. The engineer regiments and the artillery, also the artillery regiments, because basically the weapon as such is controlled by the engineer, but the delivery systems most of them are rockets. They are with the artillery or the air defense units. They have got the rockets. The nuclear weapons are with the engineers, corps of engineers, and some amount of the initiating process is done by the DRDO scientists along with the engineer personnel. About the height, you can find it out from if you height requirement to join the Army, Navy, and Air Force. If you Google it, you'll get it from sites such as ssbcrack.com, or join the Indian Army, join the Indian Air Force, join the Indian Navy .nic.in or .gov.in. Any other questions? Like I said, there is no best or not so good field in the armed forces. It is what is your aptitude, what do you want to do while in the armed forces. If you want to be a communicator, do electronic warfare. Electronic warfare is something which you saw in the Uri movie. There is a screen, you get all inputs. Based on the input, you find out where the enemy is, and you guide the fighting forces towards the enemy so that the enemy can be eliminated or ambushed, and we can get a greater hand over them, a win over them. How is it? The army campuses are one of the best in the country. There's a lot of greenery, there's a lot of pace, the living areas are different, the workplaces are different, there's a lot of pace and resources to keep oneself fit, to train, to exercise. It is very peaceful and quite a lot of security is there. In fact, the army campuses are one of the most green areas in cities and towns. In many places, they may be in far-flung places or at the outskirts of the cities and towns. But nowadays, in most of the major cities, the cantonments or the army campuses have become part or have come within the civil locations or the city limits. Like in Bangalore, erstwhile Alsur area and Domlur area are the places where the army campuses are there. They used to be outskirts of the city. Now they are more or less in the center of the city. Any other questions? If there are no other questions, I have finished. Thank you.
Sonali?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us with your informative session with our
My
students.
pleasure.
Also, I would like to inform the students that there is a Google Form link that will be shared with you all. I request you all to give your valuable feedback in them. Yes, I think I will now be handing it over to Edwin.
Before Edwin continues, sir, just one thing personally I would like to share with you is that the session was truly informative and the whole presentation I was following, and I hope that our students will feel the same and they will definitely feel more motivated towards the armed forces services. It was really a very informative, very nice session for our students, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Edwin, you can take over.
I convey my best wishes to the honorable guest speaker, respected principal, teachers, parents, and my dear friends. I, Edwin, the school head boy of Edify School, consider the occasion as an honor and privilege to extend the vote of thanks. Once a great man whispered, feeling thankfulness and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. Today, I take the opportunity to put all my gratitude into words. On behalf of the school management and all the students, I would like to thank our guest speaker, Lieutenant Colonel P.S. Chandrasekhar sir, for taking his precious time out and consenting to interact with us today. Sir, indeed, your words have inspired the students greatly. We are now well informed about the amount of opportunities that we have in the defense field. We have been fortunate to be assisted by our principal, Ms. Pamela Ghosh. Thank you, ma'am, for your guidance. You have been a constant support and you have given us a lot of encouragement. I thank all the parents for their presence this morning. You always help us in carrying out such important events. Last but not least, I thank all the students for showing their interest in today's session. I'm sure we are all motivated towards thinking about our career goals with the available opportunities. I once again thank everyone for making this program successful. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It was a privilege for me also. All the best and God bless.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.